just 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Alam niyo yung story na yun, di ba? You know that story? Okay. And the other one is the story about how Jesus walked on water. Okay, so those are the very two common stories na I'm sure a lot of you have heard already, even when you were small pa. But what does it really mean to us? So when I was trying to digest the first story, which is about the 5,000 with just 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Actually, it's more than 5,000. In one of the readings that I saw, nakalagay doon, more than 5,000 yon. Kasi yung nakalagay na 5,000 doon, men lang yun eh. Eh meron pang women, may children pa, di ba? So that's actually more than 5,000. Pero kung 5,000 lang yung pag-uusapan natin, if you were to talk about 5,000, that would mean 0.001 share of the bread that was available and 0.0004 share of the fishes. So in short, hindi ba siguro kasing laki ng dulo ng kuko natin ang makakain ninyo. Pero, what was the story about? It said that everyone was fed and there was left over. And have you ever imagined like how it happened? Ako kasi I don't know how it happened. So, was it on the basket while you were distributing it? May lumalabas na isda na, or paano? Do you have an idea how it happened? I don't, diba? But that's why it's called a miracle, because it's unexplainable. If you have a basket with that much bread and fishes, every time you take out something and then you give it to somebody else, and then dumadami siya ng dumadami, to the point that you can feed more than 5,000 people, that's a lot. And I don't know how it happened, and that's why it's a miracle. The second one is about Jesus walking on water. And no one can walk on water. I've seen so many magicians try walking on water, pero buti na lang, merong breaking the magician's code. Papanood pa ninyo yun? Yung nagre-reveal ng secrets ng magicians. Okay, when I watched that one, dun ko nalaman kung paano nakakapaglakad sila sa water. A magician would put in a plexiglass on a swimming pool and then walk over it as if he was walking on water. Because no one can really do that. I mean, otherwise, you don't need to learn how to swim, di ba? So, kasi nakakapaglakad ka naman sa tubig, ba't ka pa magsiswimming, di ba? Ba't pa may nalulunod, di ba? So then again, that's another miracle because it defies everything we know. You cannot stand on water, much less walk on water. So, but what do these stories tell us? And what do you think we can learn from these stories? Okay. When you digest the message for the first story about Jesus feeding the 5,000 people, let me take verses from the Bible. The first one says, when Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" So si Jesus ang nagtanong kay Philip. Alam na nila yung problema. They know the problem that there are so many people, and yet it was Jesus who asked Philip, diba? What are we going to do? So in short, he's leading you to think, ano yung gagawin ninyo, diba? And he said, okay, meron tayo ditong meron tayo isang basket dito na may fish at saka may bread. Pero, hindi siya enough, diba? So, what does it say to us? Jesus knows the problem and the answer. Yet, he asks us to think of how we will solve it. If the answer we have does not seem to fit the equation, we can give it back to him. So, in short, alam na yung sagot na ito, meron po kaming tinapay, meron po kaming isda, pero hindi siya enough. So, ibinalik niya yung problema kay Jesus, diba? Then, in verse 10, Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. So, in reflection, we can see that we are asked to be in a state of stillness and faith to see the work that He will do. Kung nakatayo lahat ng tao doon, palagay niya makikita nilang dumadami yung isda at saka yung tinapay. Hindi, diba? Pero kung nakaupo sila lahat at nag-aantay silang maabutan, alam nila na dumadami. And so therefore, the miracle becomes more known to everyone. There was a miracle. Kasi, so in our lives, perhaps, that we have several problems. Diba, there's a time that we have to sit down and think. Diba? Like, even if it's just a work problem. Teka, naguguluhan ako. Upo muna ako. Diba? Upo na lang muna ako pag-iisipan ko. I have to think about it because the fact of the matter is, if you're in a chaotic place and you already have a problem, I don't think you can think of the solution or you can hear other people talk about the solution. The third verse that I picked out is number 12. When they had all enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." Bakit kaya sinabi ni Lord na huwag niyo, diba? Pwede naman nilang itapon nila or iiwan na lang, diba? Yung iba ganun ang ginagawa. Pag hindi naubos yung pagkain, iiwanan nila. Pero in this case, hindi niya sabi niya, gather it and let nothing be wasted. The abundance of the blessings He gives should not be wasted. Why? Because we can use it to bless others, diba? So, if you're being given a blessing, diba, at sobrang umaapaw na yan, diba? Ano yung sa song, liglig? Liglig, at nag-uumapaw, diba? Ibig sabihin, you've been given more and therefore you have more to bless, right? Okay. The second story is about Jesus walking on water. Okay. The verse that I picked out are, "A strong wind was blowing and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened." What does it say? Sometimes we don't recognize the Lord when He comes to us in the middle of our storms. You know, ang dami nating flood songs here. And then, diba, it's like the worship songs right now are so perfect because it's perfect for the message today. Kasi it just tells us that in the midst of our storm, sometimes nakikita mo na si Jesus pero you refuse to look at Him. Why? Because the problem you think is bigger than your God. Diba? I picked out Matthew to finish the story kasi in John 6, ano lang sila parang dumiretso na kagad na kinuha. Pumunta sa boat si Jesus. But in Matthew 14:20-29 says, Peter doesn't begin to sink until he starts looking around at the wind and the waves. Okay, so in our case, parang nakikita mo na si Jesus, alam mo na siya yung solution mo, alam mo you have to hold on to Him. But when you start looking around and people are telling you, di, ganito yung gawin mo, di, dapat ganyan. And when you listen to them, it takes your eyes off Jesus. What happens? You start sinking instead of going straight into your direction. So, taking our eyes off Jesus and focusing on the difficult circumstances will cause us to get under our problems. And to end that particular story, from Matthew 14:30-32, "But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. 'You of little faith,' he said, 'why did you doubt?' And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, 'Truly you are the Son of God.'" That's from Matthew 14. So, nakikita natin what happened in here. Nagsisink na siya, tapos pag nung magsisink na siya, sinabihan siya ni Jesus that you have little faith, and brought him up and brought him back in. And when they were in the boat, everything calmed down, and they were able to worship Him. So such is the state that when Jesus gets in our boat, when we have problems, diba? The storm ceases. Kasi, yun lang ang tinitingnan natin Si Jesus lang, hindi yung problem. So when we have Jesus in our boat, the storms of life will be calm, then we can worship Him. So, and I speak for for so many people who actually come to me and ask me, if they know kasi that you've been in a particular situation, kunyari, relationship problems, di ba ma-advise mo rin lang sila kung anong gagawin nila if you know that what happened to you is you set your eyes on Jesus and you can set that example as well. So, the teaching in here is just telling us that don't lose your focus. Okay. So the question, through our everyday challenges and tests, have we learned to focus on Jesus? What's your answer? Have you? Have you learned how to focus on Jesus? So let's focus. Let's learn how to focus today. Yeah. So let's see if you can do this. Do you see? Yeah. Are our eyes trained to see only what's in front of us? What do you see in here? Do you just see 48 squares and 42 white dots? Is that the only thing that you see in here? Or do you see black dots?
I see black dots.
Who sees black dots? Ayun. See? So if you look harder, you will see, diba? Okay, another one. Or is there another message to what you're seeing? Take a look at this picture. What do you see? Yeah, o diba? May nakikita kang, ang mukha ng cat is a rat. Can you see it?
Yes.
But when you look at it in the first glance, ano yung una nakita ninyo?
Cat.
Cat lang, diba? So you have to learn how to focus, diba? So when you focus, you see so many things eh. Next. Eto, what do you see here?
Face. And
You see
then
a
the
face.
cross.
And the cross, diba? Yon. So that's what it means to focus. You just don't look at the bigger picture, or you just don't look at the smaller picture. You have to put it together.